First up, we're going to have an opening statement from Commissioner Mike Piwowar. He's been on the SEC since 2003 and has consistently been on the side of the small investor and small and emerging companies. Dr. Piwowar served as an economist on a Senate Banking Committee, and I mention this because apparently he's one of only 3 trained economists to ever serve as an SEC commissioner. It's a position that's usually filled by lawyers. Commissioner Piwowar has been a thoughtful voice in particular when it comes to the ongoing implementation of the Jobs Act. And I'd like to mention the Jobs Act for a second, because that is exactly the sort of thing that Main Street Growth Project wants to see happen. It was bipartisan. President Obama signed it in 2012. It was a process to get there. It took some advocacy. Jobs Act is JOBS, Jumpstart Our Business Startups. If any of you are familiar with crowdfunding, that is one of the issues that it addresses. And Mike Piwowar has been central to a thoughtful implementation of that. This is a kind of reform that is possible if we don't fall in love with our first drafts, if we work together on common sense goals that are pro-Main Street. Please join me in welcoming Commissioner Mike Piwowar.
Great. Thank you, Kyle, for that kind introduction. In fact, I think, wasn't yesterday the 4th anniversary of the Jobs Act, if I remember correctly? So fantastic. Before I begin, for those of you that ever heard an SEC commissioner speak, you know what's coming next. I need to state that the views I express today are my own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Securities Exchange Commission or my fellow commissioners. As many of you know, the SEC's 3-part mission is to protect investors, maintain fair, orderly, and efficient markets, and facilitate capital formation. And every day, over 4,000 of us at the SEC go to work in Washington, D.C., and 11 offices throughout the United States with one singular purpose in mind, and that is to fulfill that mission. And for me, what that mission means is no less than protecting the American dream. For some, the American dream is putting their entrepreneurial spirit into action, starting with a new idea for a new product or service, taking a risk, starting a company, hiring workers, and bringing that new product or service to market, and then convincing others to take a risk with them and invest in their idea, their company, and in their workers. And along the way, improving the standard of living for the workers they employ, the customers who buy their products, and the investors who share in their success. For others, the American dream is taking their hard-earned savings from their income, from their jobs, and investing in the companies started by the entrepreneurs, and using the proceeds from those investments to improve the standard of living for their family by paying for their children's education, to improve the standard of living in their community by reinvesting in other local businesses or donating to their favorite local charity, and to improve their own standard of living by seeking to achieve retirement security. Unfortunately, almost 6 years ago, a 2,319-page nightmare called Dodd-Frank was unleashed, threatening the American dream for millions of Main Street families and business owners. Among the hundreds of provisions that have nothing to do with the financial crisis, Dodd-Frank forces the SEC to divert our substantial resources from our core mission, and instead to implement special interest disclosure provisions that have nothing to do with helping investors or entrepreneurs achieve the American dream. As I've said before, investors should be rightfully outraged when corporate executives use company resources to unduly enrich themselves at the expense of shareholders. But investors should be equally outraged when someone else tries to use corporate assets to advance their own special interests. It is simply wrong to use the power of government and other people's money to achieve their own personal gains at the expense of shareholders. Dodd-Frank's focus on non-material special interest disclosure provisions such as resource extraction, conflict minerals, and CEO pay ratio is a deplorable corruption of the SEC's core mission. The SEC's disclosure regime must serve Main Street investors and entrepreneurs, not politically connected special interest groups. America needs small and medium-sized businesses to grow the economy, create jobs, and improve our standard of living. Excessive and unnecessary regulation harms the investors, customers, employees, and entrepreneurial founders of Main Street businesses. The unintended consequences and collateral harms of regulations issued under Dodd-Frank must be addressed. And the SEC must return to its core mission of protecting investors, maintaining fair, orderly, and efficient markets, and facilitating capital formation so that we can all invest in the American dream by investing in each other. Thank you.